Trying hard means looking hard, and looking hard means looking for one specific thing. You have worked, and you have tried, and you have pushed harder than the people around you who seem to fall into things, and you have watched somebody with a fraction of your effort walk out of a room with the thing you wanted. Effort is a search. That is all it's ever been. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. And today we activate your luck field. By the end of this day, you will have proof that we've done so. Luck is the one everybody actually wants. People come to me about money and about love and about their health, and underneath every one of these conversations sits the same quiet question. Why do some people seem to have the wind at their back their whole lives while everybody else pushes? There is research on this, real research, and almost nobody has heard it. A psychologist spent 10 years on it. He proved something that every mystic on this planet has been saying for thousands of years, and he proved it with a newspaper and a 5-pound note. And there's a moment in it that I have never been able to shake. Let me paint a picture for you. It's a weekday morning on an ordinary street. There's a coffee shop halfway down the block with smell coming out of the door the way it does. Traffic moving, the particular gray light of a morning that has decided against anything special. There's a man walking toward the shop who considers himself a lucky person. He's always considered himself lucky. He would tell you so if you asked him, plainly without any sense that he was bragging, the way a person tells you his height. On the pavement directly outside the door, there's a 5-pound note. He sees it before he reaches it. Something in the periphery registers the shape and the color and the wrongness of the paper lying flat on wet stone. And his attention goes to it while he is still 4 steps away. He bends down, picks it up, turns it over in his fingers, and puts it in his pocket. He is smiling when he walks through the door. There are 4 tables in that coffee shop, and every one of them is occupied. There's a man standing at the counter in a good coat who happens to be a successful businessman. The lucky man orders his coffee, stands beside him, and says something. A remark about the weather, a remark about the money on the pavement. It hardly matters what. They talk for 4 minutes. It's a good conversation. He leaves with a name. Now, a woman walks down the same street toward the same shop. She considers herself unlucky. She would tell you that too, and she would tell you with the same plainness because she has been collecting the evidence for it her entire life, and the file is thick. The 5-pound note is on the pavement outside the door. She walks over it. Her foot passes within inches of it. She has good eyesight. There's nothing in the way. The money is lying flat in the open on gray stone in daylight, and she goes directly over the top of it and through the door and orders her coffee. The same 4 tables, the same 4 people, the same man in the good coat standing at the same counter. She stands beside him and says nothing at all. She drinks her coffee and she leaves. Later that day, somebody asks them both how the morning went. The man describes finding money in the street and a nice chat he had with somebody interesting in a coffee shop. The woman says it was an uneventful evening. Same street, same money, same coat at the same counter, and the same 4 minutes available to both of them. 2 completely different lives. That morning was real, and it was staged, and it was filmed. The 5-pound note was placed there on purpose. Actors occupied the 4 tables under instruction to behave identically no matter which of the 2 walked in. And the successful businessman at the counter was positioned deliberately available to both of them, holding the same opening. It was run by a psychologist named Richard Wiseman at the University of Hertfordshire, and he published it in a book called The Luck Factor in 2003. And the 2 people were real people with real names. He called them Martin and Brenda. Wiseman ran this for 10 years, 400 volunteers. He took out advertisements asking for people who considered themselves either very lucky or very unlucky, and hundreds of them wrote back. And he studied them and tested them and followed them looking for the thing that separated them. What he found should change the architecture of your life. Here's the experiment that made him famous. He handed people a newspaper and asked them to count the photographs inside. Simple task. Turn the pages, count the pictures, tell me the number. The people who considered themselves unlucky took about 2 minutes. Some of them went through it twice to be sure. The people who considered themselves lucky finished in seconds. Because on page 2 of that newspaper, Wiseman had placed a message. It took up half the page, printed in type over an inch high. And it said, "Stop counting. There are 43 photographs in this newspaper. Impossible to miss." The lucky people saw it. The unlucky ones went straight past every single one because they were counting. And then he did something crueler and more beautiful. Halfway through the same newspaper, he placed a second message, the same size, the same enormous type. And this one said, "Stop counting. Tell the experimenter you have seen this and win $250. Half a page. Letters you could read across a room. A cash prize sitting in the open, requiring nothing except that you notice it. They missed that one too. Sit inside that for a second. Money free announced, placed directly in their hands, in their own laps, in type an inch high, and they turned the page and kept counting photographs. And then they walked out of that building and got on with lives in which they had never once been lucky. The luck was on the page the entire time, in letters you could read across a room, and 200 people looked directly at it and failed to see it, and then walked out of that building and told a psychologist that they had never once been lucky in their lives. So Wiseman asked the only question that matters: what was different about them? The answer had nothing to do with fortune, or destiny, or being born under the correct arrangement of anything. He tested for it, and he found it, and he wrote it down in plain language. The unlucky people were tense. That was it. That was the whole difference. The test showed that the people who considered themselves unlucky were more anxious than the lucky ones. And anxiety does one very specific thing to a human being. It narrows the aperture. A tense person is looking for something. That is what tension is. It is a search running in the background at all times, scanning for the threat, the shortfall, the thing that is about to go wrong. And a mind running that search has no capacity left over to see anything it was failing to look for. The unlucky people missed the money because they were busy counting photographs. And the lucky people were relaxed and open, which is another way of saying they had no search running, which is another way of saying they had the bandwidth to see what was actually on that page. Same page, same ink, the same 43 photographs, and the same 2 announcements in type an inch high. Different aperture. Now, hear what I'm telling you, because this has been about you since the first sentence. You've been counting the photographs your whole life. Every hour you have spent tense, and there have been a great many of them, was an hour with the aperture closed. The nights you lay in the dark running the arithmetic, those drives home rehearsing the conversation, all those mornings you woke up already braced for something. That was the search running, and the whole time the search was running, the page was in your hands. The message was on it. Half a page, letters an inch high, and you turned the page and kept counting. That ends today. You have been having luck your entire life. I'm telling you what you already know. The person who turned up at the exact hinge point and you called it a small world, that conversation you almost skipped that turned into the whole next chapter, the wrong turn that put you on the road where the thing happened, a job you found because somebody canceled, the apartment that came open the week you needed it, the friend of a friend at a party who nearly stayed home from, that flight you missed that saved you from something, a stranger who said one sentence to you 11 years ago that you are still living inside of. Every one of those was the aperture opening for a moment. Something in you relaxed briefly by accident, usually because you had given up on whatever you had been searching for. And the second search stopped. You saw what was on the page and you called it a coincidence and you went back to counting. Those moments were real. You've been lucky your entire life in flashes, and the flashes came whenever you happened to stop looking. And I want you to notice the pattern in when they came, because it is the whole secret, and it has been hiding in your own history. They came after you quit. The job arrived the week you stopped applying. Somebody showed up the month you gave up on meeting anybody. And the answer came in the shower, on a walk, in the car, halfway through a conversation about something else entirely, and never once at the desk where you sat working on it. Every human being alive has that pattern, and almost nobody asks why. The answer is on Wiseman's page. Quitting turns the search off. Giving up drops the aperture wide open for the first time in months, and the thing that was already there becomes visible. And you call it a reward for letting go when it was something far simpler than that. You stopped counting, you saw the page. The work today is to stabilize what has been flashing. We are turning the aperture open at the wall rather than letting it fall open by accident once a year when you are too tired to keep searching. So let me tell you what this is and how it works, because you deserve to know what you're receiving. This is an activation. Something other than a meditation, and something other than a lecture or teaching, and something other than a technique you have to remember or practice. There's nothing to perform and nothing to get right. You can be driving, cooking, walking, folding something, standing at the window. Your only work, as you listen to me, is to keep receiving these words and keep allowing them to come through. One ability I've developed is I'm an activator. By listening to my voice, by receiving the frequency, the carrier wave inside it, the activation is occurring in you. It moves underneath the thinking mind. It is a technology at a level the surface intellect has no access to and no vote in. Your subconscious knows exactly how to receive this, and it is doing so at this moment while you listen to me explain it. And what I am opening is the aperture. Some of you already are feeling it, a loosening across the shoulders and the jaw, a warmth gathering in the palms, sounds in the room arriving with more detail than they had 10 minutes ago, a slight pressure at the crown of the head, something in the chest, quietly unclenching that has been clenched so long you didn't even know it. These are signs the aperture is opening and the activation is taking hold. Others of you feel calm and steady, nothing dramatic at all. That is equally perfect and equally complete. It registers in whatever way your nervous system prefers. Nobody is doing it wrong. And here's your proof that it works before it is finished. Wiseman proved the mechanism runs on state. He took people who had been unlucky their entire lives, changed nothing about their circumstances, and altered their state. Within a month, they reported being luckier, happier, and more satisfied with their lives. He changed no fact about the world around them. He changed the aperture, and the world they walked into changed to match. That took him weeks of instruction. I'm doing it in the next few minutes because I'm doing it underneath the part of you that would argue. So now we come to the doorway. If some part of you wishes to keep the smaller story, the one where luck belongs to other people, and the file you've been building your whole life is accurate and the tension is simply who you are, then stop this recording. Just close the window, walk away. There's no shame in it. The unlucky story is comfortable. It asks nothing of you. It explains everything that has happened and it forgives you completely. If you're still here, if something in your chest has been quietly opening since I described the woman stepping over the money on a wet pavement, if some part of you recognized her before I finished the sentence, then you've already decided. You crossed the moment you pressed play. There's one direction from here. The aperture opens forward into your luck or closes back down into the smaller world you came from. Past this point of activation, whether the surface mind has caught up or continues arguing for the rest of the day, it will complete. The mechanism was engineered to install through resistance. The only way I can activate this in you is with your permission. If you'll give me permission to do so, I'm going to activate your luck field now. Okay. You've given me permission, so bring your awareness to your shoulders for me. Just notice them. Notice where they're sitting. There's a chance they are higher than you realize, carried up toward your ears in a position that you've held for so long that it stopped registering at a position and started registering as your body. That is the search. Those shoulders are the physical shape of an aperture held closed. They came up at some point in your childhood, and they never came back down. And they've been through every kitchen and every arithmetic and every year you spent certain the next thing was about to go wrong. Feel them coming down as I speak. And with them, the jaw, the place behind the eyes, that band across the forehead, the spot in the chest where you've been holding something braced for so long, you forgot there was a muscle there at all. The search is switching off. Something in you has been scanning your whole life, running in the background, hunting for the shortfall and the threat and the thing about to go wrong. And it has been consuming the entire bandwidth of your perception in order to protect you from a danger that resolved itself many, many years ago. It has cost you everything on the page. Comes off now. As I speak, the scanner is powering down and it stays down, and what fills the space it occupied is the thing Wiseman measured in every lucky person he studied. Open, relaxed, and available. Now feel the aperture widening. Your perception has been running through a narrow slot. That slot was set for you a long time ago by people who meant well and by circumstances that have long since passed, and it has determined every single thing you've been able to see since. 11 million pieces of information reaching your nervous system every second. Roughly 40 of them reach you. Your neurology deletes the rest on your behalf before you ever get a vote. And the setting that governs which 40 get through has been jammed in the counting position for decades. That setting is being adjusted now. Feel it happening at the edges of your vision. The periphery is coming alive. Sound arriving from further away. The room around you acquiring more detail than it had when you pressed play, because more of it is being permitted through. This is the equipment a 4-year-old uses. It is why the child finds the world astonishing and you find it another Thursday. Same world, same 11 pieces arriving every second, different aperture. Yours is opening, and the world you walk into will have more in it than the world you walked in from. And none of the difference will be out there. And I want to tell you where the search came from, because you built it. And you can watch yourself do it. It went in early, and it went in for a reason. Somewhere in your childhood, something happened that you had no warning about. Money went wrong, or a person left, or a door closed with no explanation, or the mood of a house changed without notice, and you had to find out from a face across a room. And a small person in that situation does something very intelligent. They start watching. They begin running a scan permanently so that nothing arrives unannounced ever again. The scan worked. That's the tragedy in it. It kept you upright through years when you needed it. Caught things early and gave you a small measure of control in a house where you had none. It earned its place honestly, and you've been paying rent on it every day for many years since the danger ended. The cost has been everything. Because a scanner is a search, and a search consumes the aperture, and the aperture is the only equipment you have for receiving anything the world was already holding out to you. So you brought safety, and you paid in luck. And nobody ever told you that was the exchange rate. The danger is over. It has been over for a long time, and the thing that has been protecting you can stand down now permanently with your thanks, because it did its job and the job is finished. The search is off. Its aperture is now open. You see what is on the page. Now, I want to close something in you because it has been open a long time. Somewhere in you lives the suspicion that the universe just skipped you, that whatever arranges good fortune for other people has never had your file. Other people get found. Other people walk out of coffee shops with a name in their pocket. You've been counting photographs your whole life, while the lucky ones finished in seconds and went home. The 5-pound note was on Brenda's pavement. Feel that rather than think it. It was there, placed, waiting on her street, outside her door, on her morning. The businessman was at the counter, positioned available, holding an opening with her name on it. The actors at the 4 tables were instructed to treat her exactly as they treated him. The universe set the whole thing up for her, identically, down to the last detail, and she walked over it and called the morning uneventful. Your pavement has been covered in money. Every street, every turn, every morning, every coffee shop and meeting and party and conversation that you've walked through, braced and scanning and counting, it was all set up. It's been set up your entire life with the same care and the same precision. And the only thing that has ever been missing is the aperture. Nothing skipped you. Nothing has ever skipped you. You've been standing in the middle of an arrangement made specifically for you, running a search that made it invisible. And the search is off now. Feel how personal the arrangement has always been, because there is an easier version of this, and it is the wrong one. The easy version is that opportunity is everywhere and everybody has the same odds. A flat, impersonal drizzle of chance that falls equally on everyone, and some people get wet and some stay dry, and none of it means anything. The pavement refuses that because the note was placed. Somebody chose the spot. Somebody chose the morning, the shop, the 4 tables, the man in the good coat, the exact distance from the door. It was engineered around one specific woman with total precision, and it was engineered identically for a man who walked the same stone an hour apart. The arrangement was custom. It was built for her. She was inside it. She never knew. Yours has been custom your entire life. That level of attention should stop your heart, because it means something has been going to an enormous trouble on your behalf every single day you spent believing you had been forgotten. The field knows your name. The pavement was always covered. Now, the second thing Wiseman found in every lucky person he studied, and this one is going to reorganize your next week, they listened to their hunches. Every one of them. Across 400 people, the lucky ones reported that they made decisions on the basis of something that arrived without reasoning, and they trusted it, and they acted on it. And they did this routinely and without any embarrassment about it at all. The unlucky ones had the same hunches. That's the part that should stop you. The signal was arriving in both groups. The intuition was running in the unlucky people exactly as it was running in the lucky ones. The only difference was what happened in the second after it arrived. The lucky ones moved. The unlucky ones explained it away. And you know that reflex because it was installed in you by people who meant well. Every time you noticed something as a child and said it out loud, somebody handed you a reason, and the reason was always built to make the extraordinary, supernatural, amazing, miraculous thing ordinary again. Because ordinary is easier to live beside. So the hunch became just this random thought, and a random thought asks nothing of you, while a hunch asks everything. That reflex is being removed from you as I speak. From today, when something arrives without reasoning, it will come in with a weight on it, small pressure, a quality of being addressed. Take that street, call her, go back inside, say the thing, look again. And you will move. Before the explaining part of you comes online, the way a lucky man or woman bends down for money on a wet pavement without stopping to work out how it got there. Say this with me. My hunches arrive with weight, and I move before I explain. The third thing, and this one is the wall coming out of your life. Wiseman found that lucky people expected good fortune, something other than hoping for it. Something other than affirming it into a mirror at 6 a.m. while some part of them quietly disagrees. They simply expect it, in the flat way you expect the sun. And the expectation was measurable, and it was consistent across all 400 of them. And here's why it works. And it has nothing to do with magic in the way the word gets used at parties. Expectation sets the aperture. A person who expects good fortune has no search running, because there is nothing to brace against. The scanner sits idle, the bandwidth stays free, and a mind with free bandwidth sees the message on page 2 in type an inch high, and picks up the money and speaks to the man at the counter. A person who expects the shortfall has the scanner running at full power, and the scanner eats the aperture, and the aperture is the entire mechanism. So the expectation was never a mood, it was the setting. Your file is closing as I speak. That thick collection of evidence that you've been building your whole life about the kind of person you are and the kind of luck you get is being set down. It was never evidence. And every entry in it was accurate, and every conclusion you drew from it was wrong. You've been reading the results of the search and calling it the world. And this is where it stings, so let me say it with some care. Your effort has been the problem. Nobody hearing me has been lazy about their life. That is exactly the wound. You have worked and you have tried and you have pushed harder than the people around you who seem to fall into things. And you have watched somebody with a fraction of your effort walk out of a room with the thing you wanted. Effort is a search. That is all it's ever been. Trying hard means looking hard, and looking hard means looking for one specific thing. And a mind looking for one specific thing turns the page directly past the announcement offering it $250 for free. The unlucky people worked harder at that newspaper than the lucky ones, twice as long. Some of them went through a second time to be certain their diligence was flawless, and it was precisely what cost them the money. So every year of effort was a year of narrowing. Sit with the mercy in that rather than the loss. You have never once been failing. You have been doing exactly what you were taught, with more discipline than most people manage, and the discipline was quietly closing the one instrument that could have found what you were looking for. The trying is coming out of you now. What replaces it is the ease Wiseman measured in every lucky person he studied, which is something other than laziness. It is a person with nothing to brace against, walking down a street, seeing what is on it. Say this with me. I expect good fortune. The expectation is the aperture. And the fourth thing, and this is the one I want you to carry out of here more than any of it. Lucky people turn bad luck into good. Wiseman tested this directly. He gave both groups the same misfortune to imagine, an identical event, the same bad break. The unlucky ones sat inside it and categorized the damage. The lucky ones immediately began describing how much worse it could have been and what it opened up and what it saved them from. Same event, two different lives out the other side. And I need you to hear this. Is something other than optimism. It is a mechanical fact about the aperture. Sitting inside a misfortune keeps the scanner running. And a running scanner closes the aperture, and a closed aperture means the next 5-pound note goes under your foot. So the bad luck compounds, and it compounds through perception rather than the world. And that is why unlucky people describe their lives as a run of things going wrong. It was never a run. It was one closed aperture producing a decade of missed pages, which means every bad thing that has happened to you has been costing you twice. And today the second charge stops. From this moment, when something goes wrong, something in you turns it automatically before you have decided to. The aperture stays open through the difficulty, and the thing on the page after the difficulty is still visible to you, which is the entire reason lucky people appear to recover from disasters that flatten everybody else. And there's a second charge inside that, and it is the one that has cost you the most. You've been using the file as evidence. Every misfortune got logged. It went into the collection, and the collection became the case, and the case became the conclusion that you are a person things go wrong for. And you built that file honestly, entry by entry, over decades, and every single entry in it is accurate. The entries are real. The conclusion is wrong, because a file compiled by a close aperture records only what a closed aperture can see, and what a closed aperture sees is the shortfall, because the shortfall is what the search was hunting for. So the file was always going to fill with misfortune. It was built to. It was a machine for collecting exactly one kind of evidence, and it has never been shown once the other side of the page. Brenda had a file. It was thick and it was honest, and every word in it was true, and she compiled it while stepping over money. Set yours down now. Something other than a lie, and something other than a fair record. It was one narrow instrument reporting faithfully on the only thing it was permitted to see. What goes wrong turns in your hands. and the aperture stays open. So the field is opening now. Feel it. The shoulders down, the jaw loose, the scanner powered off. The periphery is alive, the file set down, and the aperture standing wider than it has stood since you were about 6 years old. This is the state Wiseman measured in every lucky person in that study. Relaxed and open and available, and you are in it at this moment, and it has been installed rather than borrowed, and it stays. And the world has already begun to change, though nothing out there has moved at all. Before this day is finished, you will see one. Nothing that was on the page the entire time. It will be small, and it will be precise, and it will be sitting in the open where it has always been. And the only reason it arrives today, rather than 12 years ago, is that today the aperture is open, and the search is off. It will feel coincidental, too convenient to mention the sort of thing you would normally mention in passing and forget by dinner. That is your £5 note. Bend down and pick it up, and understand that the size of it means nothing at all. £5 bought Martin a conversation with a man in a good coat, and the conversation is the thing, and the £5 was only ever the doorway that got him talking. The field opens small on purpose. Something enormous would trigger every defense you own, and you would spend 6 weeks debating whether it was real. So it arrives at a size your surface mind will wave through. Take the small one. It is the handle on a much larger door. Because a lucky man and an unlucky woman walked over the identical payment on the identical morning, and the only difference between the life he went on to have and the life she went on to have was 4 seconds of noticing. Let me tell you what the next hours will look like from the inside, so you recognize it when it moves. Your reception is at its peak from this moment. You will notice things you have walked past yesterday. A name will surface twice an hour. Somebody will say a sentence that answers a question you asked in silence. You will feel an urge to take a different street, a check, a drawer, make a call, go back inside, look again. A stranger will start talking to you for no reason. A door will appear where you were sure there was a wall. Every one of those is the aperture reporting in. Vary your route today. Talk to somebody you would normally walk past. Say yes to the thing you would normally decline. Wiseman found that lucky people do this constantly, and they do it without strategy, and it works because every variation puts a new page in front of you. And when the tension tries to come back, and it will try, simply return here. Return to the shoulders coming down. Return to a woman stepping over money on a wet pavement, and remember that she had good eyesight and nothing in her way. You have no need to force anything or make anything happen. Your only job today is to stay open and stay findable. When you see the first one, keep it. Because there's a trap door here, and most people fall through it inside a week. The thing arrives on Tuesday, and by Friday, your mind has attached an explanation to it. And the explanation is reasonable and boring, and it was assembled by the same scanner that has been running your perception since you were 6. That is the search defending itself. It is why so many people get one good week and then a decade of counting. So hold the first one the way you hold a scar, as something that happened to your actual body in actual time. The explanation will come knocking and you will decline it. And because you will keep the first one, the second arrives faster, and the compounding begins in you today. So this activation is complete. Everything assembled in you while you listened in order at the rate it was built to install, and it is standing now, and it stays standing. Feel it in your shoulders, in the space behind your eyes, in the room around you, carrying more detail than it did when you pressed play. That is the felt evidence of what has occurred. The search is off, the aperture is open, the hunch is weighted, the expectation set, the file is closed. Nothing can close this again except you. So in this moment, give yourself permission to be a lucky person. Allow it. That's the whole ask. Something in you has been refusing that title your entire life, because claiming it means the file was wrong and the years were wasted, and there is grief sitting underneath this that nobody warned you about. Set the grief down too. It was never wasted. It was one narrow setting, and it came off today. You are a lucky person. You are a lucky person. You have always been standing on a pavement covered in money. The luck was always on the page. You were counting. The search is off and the aperture is open. The field knows your name. Your pavement was always covered. Your hunches arrive with weight, and you move before you explain. You expect good fortune. What goes wrong turns in your hands. You are a lucky person, and you see what is in front of you. A woman walked over 5 pounds on a wet pavement and told a psychologist it had been an uneventful morning. She was real. Her name was Brenda. She had good eyesight and nothing in her way, and she was standing in the middle of an arrangement built specifically for her. And she went home certain that luck happens to other people, and that woman is you. She has been you for a long time. She's also finished as of today. Do me a favor, when you see your first one, and it comes before this day is out, come back and put it in the comments. Tell us what it was, how small it was, how absurdly convenient it was, and how you would have missed it a week ago. Because somebody's going to scroll past this video, 2 a.m. with a thick file and a closed aperture and no reason on earth to believe any of this. And your 4 sentences will do something for them that no argument of mine could ever reach. Your comment is somebody else's activation. That is how this spreads. You have lived a life in which luck seemed to belong to other people. So you're carrying decades of programming in a very thick file. In these minutes, we dissolved it. And you are standing in open space now with the aperture wide. Have fun with it. Be excited. Vary your route. Walk in any direction you wish and look at page 2. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com, and you're invited to join the Reality Revolution community on School with links in the description, where we hold weekly sessions and exclusive content, and you can find it nowhere else. And I'm sending you all my love and light to you and imagining you out there today, shoulders down, eyes wide open, living in the luck field, bending to pick up whatever the world has been leaving on the pavement for years. Welcome to the Reality Revolution.